Internet.com. We're here at Screamfest 2016 in Hollywood, California, and I'm here with Damon Rickard, writer, director, producer, editor, jack of all trades, and he has come from across the pond from jolly old England to join us here. Well, not me in particular, but to join us here at Screamfest. So how you doing, Damon?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to come speak to me.
No, thank you. I found it interesting the fact that you came over, obviously not just for this fest, but I'm sure you had other things to do, but that you're here at the fest and you don't have anything to show. So you were here 2 years ago,
Yep.
and the tour, which I thought was great.
Oh, thank you.
And unfortunately, I still haven't seen the package yet.
Okay, well, I can send you a link for that.
That would be great. And you have a new one, Dissociative?
Dissociative, yeah. It's
okay.
That one's playing at RIP Festival in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Which I think is somewhere in Hollywood.
Yeah, somewhere in LA. I'm not even sure because I haven't been to that one yet. And if that goes up against AFI, I don't know if I can make it. But since you aren't screening anything here, is there do you have the ability to disconnect from being a filmmaker to just flat out watch a movie for what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Not sitting there thinking, so I would have done that differently. Or it's like,
not at all. I still get myself lost
yeah.
in a film and enjoy it for what it is. There are sometimes I watch them and I think, the grade's not so good there, or had a bit of problem with sound, but I try not to pick up on things like that because
right.
it can spoil your entertainment. So I just like to go in and just lose myself in film still.
So it is a different experience when you don't have anything to work for and just be here just to enjoy it, or where you'd rather be showing people something?
It's a bit of both, really. It's been nice where we've just been able to relax and just be around the people. I've got my cousin who lives in LA, who does all the music for the films, Eric Elick, but then you're seeing all the other people that have got their films here, and they're on such a high for the festival. They're, it's just such a buzz for them. There's a guy that I know, Harley Neville, you interviewed,
yes.
And he's literally, you can't wipe the smile off his face that he's had the last week
true.
or so.
Yeah, very true.
And I know what that feeling is, and but on the flip side, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I don't have to worry about being at the black carpet. I don't have to worry about events that I might need to go to be seen to be doing the right thing and all that sort of stuff. So it's a mixture for me of, I would like best of both worlds.
Right. So for you, what is your most favorite part about the festival circuit? Is it actually getting to show your film, getting over out there, or just getting it over and done with so you can move on?
I don't know, actually. I mean, we go to Fright Fest every year in London. We've been going for about 7 years, and actually this year's the first time we've missed one because I'm here.
No.
Their Halloween event happened on Saturday, and I adore that festival just for being at the festival. I've had films play at the main festival twice out of the last 3 years. Package played at their Halloween event the year in between, and one of the things about having a film there is I feel nervous until I've shown, and both times that I played the main event, my film showed on the last day.
Right.
So I've had that hanging over me.
Oh.
As well.
Is it like a week-long, 10-day?
It's 5 days. 5 days, but it's an intense 5 days. You're watching 5-6 films a day.
Right.
So it's I do like going to festivals where I'm not necessarily, people don't know me, because one, you get a more honest reaction for your film, because at Fright Fest I know a lot of people there, so it could be people just being kind or whatever. When they come out and go, loved it. It's like it's difficult to really gauge the quality of my work when it's around people you know. So going to a festival where something like Screamfest was a couple of years ago for me, where I didn't really know a lot of people, and the people watching the film had no vested interest in me, so it was interesting to get that natural reaction from it. So I do like going around with the film, but after it's done, it's
just want to move on.
Yeah.
Start the next thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I noticed for me, it's just meeting a lot of people through, not just Screamfest, but any film fest I've ever been to. But it's more like Screamfest is more a familial kind of feel.
Yeah.
And brotherly and sisterly kind of feel, because like you get to basically just spend most of your time with these people just out here drinking. Let's go watch a movie. Okay, let's come out, let's drink some more, watch a movie. And we're just genuinely talking about stuff. And I find that with all the people I meet here, becomes friends with, it's like their work I put under a magnifying glass. So I'm thinking, it's like, well, I love this one, so let's see what happens with the next one. It's like, well, I thought that was good, but not as good as this one. So, but they take it in stride as a creative criticism. So it's like I don't try to be a bastard.
No, criticism is good, as long as it's constructive. You know, I could never get. For me, it's someone coming up and saying, "Well, your film was a bit shit."
Right.
Is no better than someone coming out going, "I loved it. It was amazing," because you're not getting anything from it. It's sort of like, "I'm really glad you liked it. Or, I'm really sorry you didn't like it."
Right.
But somebody says, "I didn't like it, and this is why." You go, "Right, okay." For somebody with your sort of taste, these are the sort of things I need to do next time to try and, see if I can get you on side. But also, if people say to it, "I really loved it because of this reason," right, those are the things I want to keep doing.
Cool. Because film is subjective and it affects everyone differently, was there ever a point where you overheard from someone saying, it's like, "Oh, I got this out of the movie," and you're like, "Where did that come from?" It's like, I know it's like you're not supposed, as a filmmaker, you're not supposed to tell the audience what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Unless you really want them to feel that way. But,
the tour, the very end of it, that happens a little bit, because it is ambiguous as to what's actually happened. And I suppose the package less so. I had sort of more people questioning certain things about it rather than saying I got this out of it. Dissociative has had that, because it's very much, I know what it is,
right,
but it could be interpreted in a variety of ways. And if people want to do that, that's absolutely fine. I know what it is to me.
Right.
It's like a song. So a song can be, it's one thing to the writer, be something entirely different to the person listening to it.
Yeah.
But the writer's never going to go, "No, you're wrong. I'm taking what you find personal about that song away from you." So I wouldn't say to somebody that said, "Oh, is the film about this?" I'll go, "Well, no, to me it was this, but from your point of view, I can see that."
Yeah. I was a filmmaker, Pablo Absento, name drop. She did a film called Shi. SHI, and she asked I don't know, have you heard?
I think I've seen that one. I might have seen that one, actually.
So Japanese, and she was asking what I thought of it. I said, "Okay, this is what I think. This is what I took from it." And she was like kind of laughing. I was like, "What?" That's how I interpreted it. It's like, am I way off? It's like, yeah. I'm like, but it's great. I like your take on it. But I'm like, that's not how I envisioned it. I'm like,
no.
Oh, okay. I guess I got an overactive imagination.
Yeah, well, that's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's a magazine where they look into double meanings in films and lots of metaphors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a piece on it on a particular director, and then I read something about his response to the piece, where they'd gone into all this in depth about. There was female politics stuff going on in there. There was talk of religious stuff in here, and the director came out afterwards and just went, "No hidden meaning in it. It's what it was." So you got these people trying to break it down piece by piece by piece, and the director just goes, "No, I just wrote it. It's just death and stuff."
I just here to glorify the violence. That's all.
Yeah.
I expect nothing more. Kind of like how The Walking Dead was, I guess, for some audiences.
Yeah.
So, you've done 3 films so far?
I've done 3. I've got 2. When I made Dissociative, we actually shot 3 films over a weekend. 2 are currently in edit at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with those, see how they turn out. One of them I probably will just put online. It was a foray into comedy horror for me, so it'd be interesting to see what people think of that, because it was funny to me.
Cool.
However, one of the problems we had with it was I had to drop a lot of scenes because we ran out of time shooting, and so I'm hoping it doesn't hurt the overall punchline of the film. So it could be people watch it and go, I have no idea what you're doing. So we shall see.
Leave it open for interpretation for the audience to figure out.
Yeah, well, if they don't get what we're doing, they won't get the gag, so they won't find it funny. But we'll see.
Well, hopefully we'll see it out this way.
Yeah, definitely.
In the future.
It'll probably. I would hope to have it done and ready at the end of the year or beginning of early next year.
Cool. Hopefully you're at Screamfest or RIP or.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if they like it.
So we're in the middle of Screamfest, I think.
Yep.
We're over the hump. What are your favorite films that you've seen so far?
My favourite film so far was Trash Fire, the Ricky Bates one.
The opening film.
Yeah, that was really good. I really like Ricky's style, and he's got such a dark sense of humour.
I absolutely love Suburban Gothic.
Yes, and Excision as well.
I still haven't seen that one yet. That's on my radar.
Excision is closer to Trash Fire than Suburban Gothic. But he needs to get... What he does very well is he gets the right people to deliver that black comedy that he has. If you don't get the right actor for that, it's not going to come off well. I mean, Adrian... Is it Grenier or Grenier?
I think Grenier.
He played it so deadpan that it was perfect. And I think... it'd be interesting to see where he goes next, because that one was certainly, for me, I felt it was his darkest film so far. If he's going to keep going in that trajectory, it'd be interesting to see where he goes next.
Or continue to be able to combine all the genres that he does with each film.
Yes.
So it's like it's so multi-layered. I'm like, it's this. It's like, yeah, you're right, it's all of them.
I think the other one that's really stood out, I enjoyed Lake Bottom last night, but actually the one that's really stuck with me most was a short film. It was called NSFW by an English director.
NSFW.
Yeah, it was about a reporter trying to catch a paedophile.
Yes. It's like that one. I don't even remember seeing the title in the short.
Yeah, I didn't remember it either, so I had to look it up in the program, because when I saw it, I was just like, wow, it was such a brilliant piece of work.
I liked how that one unfolded.
Yeah, it was also just the setting that he had, the light that he used. It seemed like it was a lot of quite natural light, and it just looked stunning. I like the slow, very deliberate camera movements that they had, the build-up. There wasn't tons and tons of dialogue through it, and I thought the performances were fantastic. And I was actually sitting there wishing I was watching a feature.
Right.
So, that one really impressed me.
Did you ever fancy yourself to try film criticism?
I did. I had a website for a short while, and I was doing some reviews. And I've done reviews for Fright Fest, their website. I did some for a website called Screen Jabber, but I get too far behind with it.
I know what you mean.
And I wasn't able to keep the upkeep on my website going with wanting to start making films and stuff. So that fell to the wayside. But
I think we're benefiting from the fact that you took up filmmaking as opposed to film criticism.
Thank you. You never read my reviews. They might have been amazing. They weren't. They were okay.
I tried to consider myself trying to be a filmmaker, but I think I'm doing a better job as a critic.
It's not an easy job being a critic, I have to say, because there's an amount of you that if you see something you really don't like, try not to be overly critical to it, because at the end of the day, these guys have made a film. It's not easy, it's difficult, and the fact they've got it out there is something. There are some films actually where you could probably just go, you just really shouldn't have bothered. But at the end of the day, I find myself wanting to be a lot kinder to independent, low budget films, because these people have really got constraints around them, and they're having to do with what they can. And if people are making a feature on credit cards and stuff like that, all credit to that. I get more upset when I see a $50 million film where they've got the pick of everybody they want.
Yeah.
They've had time to get the script into a perfect position. They've got all the equipment they want, and they still produce a bad product.
Yeah.
That's where I find I get most upset.
Right.
So, but it's. I personally I'd never want to do a film of that at that level.
So speaking of stuff like that, since we're at a horror film festival, years ago, before I started attending Screamfest, I became a jaded horror fan. And I was a big horror fan. I loved horror movies. But then I got so sick and tired of the cookie-cutter studio horror movies that were just there to make the buck, and there was no thought put into anything. And even filmmakers like James Wan, my review was already out, and I hated Conjuring 2, so I can say that.
Okay. I personally loved it.
For me, it was everything I hated about studio film, and I loved it. Like, I love Saw, I love Conjuring, but like Screamfest, I discovered indie horror films, and I found it actually genuinely scary, and like this is where it's at. So for you as a filmmaker and a film fan, it's like where do you think horror is now, since it's so entrenched in the studio? Let's make a quick weekend and make our money back.
I think
start the sequel.
I think horror is in a good place. Studios are keeping it alive with the big budget. Not necessarily good films,
right?
But there's still interest in horror, and things like that. People then seek out more horror films on Netflix. They might go to festivals because they hear buzz around a certain film or whatever. So I think the fact that the studios are still interested in it and still releasing stuff, regardless of the quality, it does keep money in the system for horror. I think back in the 90s, before Scream came out, it was almost dead on its feet as a genre. Nobody wanted to put money into it. There was nothing coming out. There were no new directors emerging. Then Wes Craven gave it a big old shake, and money started coming out the trees again. So I think some of the studio pictures necessary evil, but I think your film festivals like Screamfest, like Citrus, like Fantastic Fest and Fright Fest, the independent stuff and the low budget stuff that you get out there, even some of the sort of like the more, you might get something like a Blumhouse or something might start getting geared up at the festivals. It just shows there's such a talent sitting out there waiting to be discovered, and I'd love for the studios to pick up on the fact that horror fans like that sort of film, and when they hire these people to make them, they don't then take away what was good about those directors and stuff and those writers, because I find that's what happens when you get these people get the big studio films. The studios control it so much, forgetting that these guys did it on their own. They know what they're doing. Leave them it's just, it needs to be a less controlled place where they're making a massive popcorn action movie. Fine, so, the studios seem to know what makes money for them. They can hire pretty much anybody that can do an action film for it. It doesn't need to be. There doesn't need to be the grounded understanding of how to make that sort of film. I don't feel you need to. Horror needs to have an understanding. If you don't get horror, you can't make horror. And I found that when they get directors for hire in studio films, that's when I find they don't really work. You'll see somebody with their CV of completely non-horror, and then all of a sudden this horror film pops out, and it's just no good. And you wonder why. So I think horror's in a good place. And if you look at all the talents coming out in the short films as well.
Oh yeah, very much. Especially last year or so. Yeah,
there's a lot of people emerging who will, I hope, make it. I'd hope I do as well, but
I hope you guys all get together, make a big anthology, and get it out there.
Well, you say that. That's something that might be getting looked at the moment.
Nice.
I can't say too much. It's a basic idea stage, but
Well, Tales of Halloween, which was here last year, a lot of the people behind that essentially were people I met at Screamfest prior.
That was
they
a
all
great
came
lineup.
together. They all came together and just made one big anthology movie. I'm like, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really liked Tales from Halloween. It was an interesting way of doing the anthology as well, all in the same place, placing it all in the same location. And it was a very great selection of directors.
Yep, it was a lot of fun. So, it was very refreshing to actually talk film with a filmmaker instead of a fellow critic or journalist, and we all start pouting. It's like, oh, this, and that. It's like actually hearing from you as a genuine fan, and having your perspective as a filmmaker, knowing the business and all that. So,
well, getting to know the business.
Getting to know the business. So
I'm still a fan first.
No. I wish I could be sometimes. Film criticism can be hard, where I suddenly stop enjoying films for what they are.
No, I do. With my brother, once every month or 2 months, we always get together, block out a day, horror films for the whole day. So that we'll either do a retro one, so it's all the sort of like classic 80s, what back home would be the video nasties, or we'll seek out the new stuff that's coming out. So yeah, it's definitely fan first, and then.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for joining me with this lively discussion here at Screamfest, and we look forward to Dissociative. Good luck at RIP.
Thank you.
And we will hope to see you back over on our side of the pond very soon.
Hopefully I will be back, and thanks for taking time to talk to me.
And that's Damon Rickard. Where can people listening to this find you?
They can find me on Facebook. That's one place I am. Or I'm at the modal node, or modal _modal _node on Twitter. It's a Star Wars thing.
Star Wars, but Star Wars.
Yeah. Or we've got at the Tour Movie and at the Package Movie and Radar Productions, at Radar Productions on Twitter as well. So there's a few places if you want to try and get hold of me that you can.
Well, there are many ways to find this man, and he is definitely worth seeking out.
Thank you.
So this is Ernie Trinidad for ErnieTrinidad.com, signing off.